Welcome to Roundtable with Bob. Now, first of all, thank you everyone who's been following our YouTube channel, commenting, and also liking and sharing our lovely guest today, Janeen Vosper, for the two episodes, one talking with the expert in her space. So I will call you an expert within your industry, Janeen.
Thank you.
And the other episode that a lot of people are waiting for is our community influencer. Mm-hmm. So Janeen, lovely to have you in this series. This roundtable with Bob, we have started this about 4 years ago, with a number of speakers coming on board. And it's my pleasure to have you in both aspects of this, not only as an expert within the industry, the business that you have, but also within the community, which we see you often out and about.
Definitely out and about. I think my husband goes, I know she's here somewhere, or no, she's not. Depends on whether the car's in the driveway or not.
That's good. And for those people who haven't been following or don't know you, what's the best way? I'd like to throw that in the beginning of my discussion, because that gives people an opportunity to go and like your Facebook and so on, or your Instagram. In that way, as we're going through this, people can go and find you.
They can find me in a lot of places, Bob. First of all, my website, which is janeenvosper.com.
Very good.
The Facebook page is Speech Perfect, which is the business name. Janeen Vosper on LinkedIn.
Very good.
The Instagram, there's always something popping up there. So say hi and follow there as well. I particularly like working on LinkedIn. It's one of the things I help people with is with their LinkedIn profile. Where else am I? My YouTube channel, of course.
There you go.
And my We Are Women podcast, you can find that. I've been doing that for about 7 years. So.
Good on you. So if you haven't had the opportunity to note those, just look up Janeen Vosper and you'll find her. But the most important thing, let's get on with our interview here. And Janeen, you own a business called Speech Perfect.
I do.
And we will be drilling down into every aspect of that particular business as an expert within the industry. But most importantly, who is Janeen? Tell us a little bit about who Janeen is.
Oh, do you want to know? I think I've continued my personality from childhood right through. And it's always been setting a goal and focused on achieving it and just doing it anyway. And sometimes those goals weren't the things that my parents would have necessarily wanted me to be doing. I was the tomboy, but I was always the one pushing the boundaries. And I think that as now, as an adult, that becomes a good thing. But as a child, there were certain boundaries we sort of pushed and learnt by.
and that's amazing. And you guys can relate it to yourself as well, because who we are today is a result of which boundaries we pushed or didn't, and how we were brought up within our family, our community, and our social aspect, isn't it? A lot of times people forget that you are today of all those different aspects of growing up.
Most definitely. And I think that what it's given me as an adult is I don't fear a lot. I fear high mountain edges. That's one of the things I definitely do fear, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of doing that, and I'll always have a go at anything. So whether people call that confidence, or someone said the other day courage, which I hadn't considered that maybe that is.
It's interesting because I think in a few episodes, and for those of the members who actually follow these, I talked about confidence and arrogance. There's a fine line. And how people perceive it. And sometimes people perceive confidence as arrogant because that. But I know, like I said, I'm not a psychologist, but you probably have a better understanding on how this works.
And Bob, I guarantee that there's people that see that within me. But what I've learned over the years, it's not my perspective, it's theirs.
It's theirs.
And I can't change that. So I just am. And I think that's one of the things I'd like to encourage my clients to recognise is that they have to be themselves and be truly authentic to themselves. Because if you are, then you have the capacity to do what you're able to do and what you put on this planet to do. But if you're worried about how you might offend somebody, or you may challenge somebody, or you're putting a lot of other people ahead of yourself, then you are going to miss out on that sense of growth within self-belief and that confidence level.
Oh, that's good. For the new viewers who hadn't had a chance to look at the previous one, we obviously are recording this in Queensland, Australia. So one of the very first questions I'm going to ask Janeen, is she a Queenslander or New South Wales? Because there's a big rivalry between the two states, right?
Born and bred and grown in Queensland.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say there's maroon in my veins, but of course there is. That's what blood is. Yes, most definitely.
Good to know. Good to know. So I think the interview will go very well then. Now, so which part of Queensland did you grow up in?
I grew up in Brisbane.
Oh, nice.
South side of Brisbane. I haven't gone very far from where I grew up, although I've travelled the world and travelled Australia a lot. Yeah. But I think I looked at it years ago and thought, where else would I want to live in Australia? Yeah. And the only other city that's sort of rated, decent weather and things was Perth, but it was way too far away. So I thought, I'll stay in Brisbane.
And it's on the leeward side. And the only reason I know the windward and the leeward is growing up in Fiji, which side of the volcanic mountain you are on, the wind side or the other side. So There you go. So let's talk business. So you're born in Queensland, true blue Queenslander. How did you get up to where you are today within your business? Obviously, there's a huge time and experience in between those, and a lot of work involved. So tell me about what actually led to your business and your experiences.
I will try and run through it as condensed a version as I can. I started working at 13.
Wow.
I was still at high school, but the local car wash, they employed younger people, and so I started working there. I would work on a Saturday morning, and I'd work from 7 a.m. until 12 a.m, and I would earn $2.50. I would take
$2.50. There you go.
$2.50. I would take that $2.50 and I'd catch the bus to Wollongabba to go roller skating for the afternoon. I would spend that $2.50. It would get me in, would get me roller skating, get me something to eat and drink, and catch the bus home again. That was my first paid position, and I did leave school at 15. I got a full-time job in a local supermarket, and I earned $35 a week. There was no way I was ever going back to school. I'd always planned to be a teacher, though. That was something that was just within me. I really wanted to be a teacher, but that big money was just it was too tempting,
too good to let go of. And actually, that is a very common thing. We had one of our team members, move into into an industrial area that he really wanted to work in. And one of the things I said is, don't let the money distract you from what you're currently studying. So complete it, because they will be tempting. And even with our friends and kids and things that, as they were working, it's very easy for people to say, okay, well, money is good. I'm going to go get some money and travel around, which is great. I wish I could do that.
So from there, at 17, what they did in those days, they sacked you because then they're paying you a little bit more. And I started, for those that live in Brisbane will understand Queen Street is the main thoroughfare in the city of Brisbane. I started at the top of Queen Street going into every store asking for a job. And by the time I got down to the first block, I had a job in Katie's, which I had for quite a few years. Forwarding into, being headhunted into display department at Myers and then having children, stopping to have children. I will have to tell you a story though. When I was working for Myers, this is in the 80s, the manager was told he had to get rid of one of the staff members. All of the other staff members were men, and because I had a husband who was working, that's why I was chosen. Can you imagine getting away with that today?
Wow. it's a different culture, different way of operating back then, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I had children, and when the children were born, I thought, what can I do next?
Yeah.
And so I went and studied to be a fitness trainer.
Yeah.
And was the second year through.
I didn't know that.
Any fitness trainer in Australia was the second group that went through.
Oh,
so
wow.
I taught aerobics for 10 years.
Oh.
I used to teach up to 16 classes a week, do my own training, and used to run as well. The body's now going,
yeah.
I know you did that.
See, this is what I love about these interviews is I've known you for almost 10 years now through our business connection.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I find out that you were an aerobics and a fitness trainer.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely loved it. It worked perfectly around having young children. I used to go and sell gym wear as well. I talk about sales, and that's what I teach. But I thought one of the hardest sells I ever had was getting people to put their shoes on.
Yeah.
Because once they got the shoes on them, they're at the gym, and it's fine. But it's getting people motivated to it.
Yeah, interesting.
So I used to sell a couple of $1,000. This is in the 80s.
Yeah.
A couple of $1,000 worth of gym wear a night. I'd go and set up a display. People would order it. I'd bring it back in a month.
And we'll kind of touch on that. And I want you guys to make a note of that. How, what is holding you back? If you can, and I'm not a very good salesperson, and I suppose that's not a word these days.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to what and how you were able to do that, and I suppose that will lead into where we're going down.
Yeah. So just finishing this off now, the body just went, we need to be doing something. The children were older. I moved into a sales rep job, into a territory that basically wasn't performing at all. It was for first aid supplies. Mm-hmm. And I took that business from zero to over $400,000 in sales within 2 years.
Wow.
And then I started studying management. When I was first interviewed for the sales rep job, the owner said, "You're studying management. There's no positions here available. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I've gone, "In your chair." And then I realised I said that aloud. He's looked at me. And anyway, I got the job. Yep. Within that 5-year period, one partner had bought the other partner out, and then I was moved into the general manager of sales role for the business. I was sitting in that exact chair.
It's amazing because you spoke it, you manifested it, and subconsciously that's the direction your whole life actually goes.
Yeah.
So
And that business when we moved into that, they were doing about $3 million a year, and through the GFC took it over to $10 million a year, and I had 20 reps working commission only around Queensland.
So what was the product or the service?
First aid.
First aid, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so I secured...
So it was just first aid or training as well?
A bit of training, but most of first aid supplies. I secured every single mine in the Bowen Basin.
Oh, wow.
That they would use a lot of product.
Yes.
A lot of product.
That's a huge achievement.
Yeah, it was. And
from the $2.50 job working at Wollongabba to $35 a week to something at that scale.
It was, and then I started my business on the side, just looking for, that sense of doing it for myself rather than creating for somebody else all the time.
And how long are we talking about this?
I was in that role for 20 years.
20 years, yeah, okay.
So I started Speech Perfect in 2007.
Yep, okay.
And that was very part-time, and then in 2014 went into a 5-day fortnight in that role and really stepped up what I was doing in my business.
Yep.
In 2018, I left that full-time role.
Yep.
I spent the next few months planning a 3-month overseas holiday in 2019, which actually was meant to be 20, but we went a year earlier.
Nice.
Fortunately.
Yep.
And then...
got in just before everything else went quiet for a few years.
Yeah, so from 19, working in my business as a sole trader, working... doing what I do now.
Excellent. So as we're going through this, and I often talk about this at the other interviews as well, there'll be a few nuggets that I'll be throwing out at you guys, so to keep a note of it. And I think a couple of good nuggets that I can take from your discussion is working hard, not be afraid of walking down that Queen Street and knocking on doors. And I think these days, obviously we are in digital space. People, send emails and voice messages or videos and things like that. But I think there's still a lot of value and a lot of authenticity in it, where you actually go and knock the door and drop your resume in person.
Absolutely. And when I was working as a rep, I said from 0 to 400,000. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
Cold calling.
Yeah.
I might have had secured a business. That was what I did every single time. If I had a business here, I would visit the one on either side next time.
Yeah.
So that may maybe pick up one of those, and then next time I'd go two, and I'd go one either side again. Side. Yeah.
Yeah. And the third nugget, I think, from the discussion is, you talk about the chair having a vision. Okay. So I think that's whatever vision you guys have. Don't underestimate yourself. Speak it.
Manifest.
Okay, manifest it, and your body. Our body is an amazing computer, and that computer is driven by, if you believe in spiritual side, it's actually driven by a mother computer or father computer. So it actually does guide us and drive us into the direction that we want.
Yeah. Most definitely, 100% agree.
So there's few nuggets there. Now that you have started your business in 2007, and you have taken this company selling first aid products and services, what actually led you into this Speech Perfect business and name?
When I first started my business, it was called Shifting Visions. I just wanted to be the exact things that you were talking about, those nuggets. They were the things that I wanted to be able to help other people with, to understand that they've got opportunity and possibilities. But I really realized that I wanted to nail it down a bit more. And my background is in sales, and having done it for 40 years, and I have a line that I say, I've never sold anything to anybody, but I make it really easy for people to buy from me.
Yeah.
That's the space I come from with selling. But I'm also been a public speaker in organisation for 20 years. I've represented Australia in public speaking contests, and I've coached 2 international speaking winners.
Wow.
Now I realised that this Shifting Visions wasn't quite it. I would be able to include all of that in sales and speaking training. Now, getting the name for the business, Bob, that was the trick. And there was a time when the movie Pitch Perfect was out, and it was really popular. And we're at a wedding, and the people were speaking with the microphone down at their belly button, because that's where the sound comes out, obviously. And we're right at the back. You couldn't hear any of the speeches. Everybody is just mucking around because they're talking over it, because you couldn't hear it. And that's where it came from, just to be able to have that speech perfect. And I think there was a bottle of wine involved.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Great ideas come from that as well.
Very good. I think that's a wine label, speech perfect. A wine. Yeah. It is. And I often go to meetings and presentations, and I'm normally the annoying guy that tries to get the speaker's attention to say, move it up, move the mic up. And you're spot on. A lot of people, it starts off here, and then whether it be confidence or the crowd, whatever it may be, you could see the hand drop, and then you actually distract your audience. Your audience start wandering away because if it's not like, perfect.
And when I run my workshops, I teach people that there's 3 words that they say when somebody wants to give you a microphone. It is yes, thank you.
Yep. There you go.
Don't shout.
Yeah.
Don't say, I'll be right, I've got a loud enough voice. No, if you've got an opportunity for a microphone, say yes, thank you, because you've got control then.
Very good. Yeah, that's good little trick there. Now, when you started this business, what was the hardest or the struggle that you had initially? Yes, you were doing your professional job and you had this on the side. What was the hardest, struggle that you had to overcome, knowing that you're a good sales person and a good executive, but running your own business? What was it? What was the struggle?
That's a good question. On a point of that, it's one of the things I do suggest to people if they're starting to go out in business is that they keep their job and they use that job not as just really general revenue. They use that job as investment into their business. So it's getting the website done, getting all of the background things so that when you move into your business, you haven't got those expenses. You've already got that built up and covered. It's one of the things I suggest. So that's something that I had done along the way. And because I had gone part-time, it allowed for that. But for me, moving into that business, there's a few components that I really, you're either good at something or you're not good at something. And if you ask my bookkeeper that I spent 2 hours with yesterday who's trying to get my BAS done, that was something that I'm not particularly good at. Realised that I needed somebody else to do that. Yeah, and that's an important learning. When you're starting your own business, one, you often don't have the funds, but you also want to control everything and try and do everything.
Very good.
And getting someone who's a lot better at it than you are to do it. Selling yourself, this is another thing that comes from it, is when I was out building the other business, I'd be talking to the top end of town about the mining things, or I'd be talking to the guys in the mines. Not a problem. It was somebody else's product, and if they didn't want to do it, then I'd go, oh, that's a bit, I can't see why you wouldn't, but I'd be able to walk away from it. Whereas if it's your own product or your own service where someone's saying, no, thank you, then you take it to heart.
You take it personally.
You do. And that's a big deal. And being able to recognise it's just a no thank you or no, not at the moment. And not take it emotionally. But I've worked with people who've been on sales, phone sales, and have no problems doing it. Stepping in their own business, they can't do it. They can't do the phone calls.
It's their own now. So there's a couple of good nuggets there, guys. If you are thinking of starting or you are already in the business, maybe some good tips from Janeen. And I think I'm just going to go back to that bookkeeping, spending 2 hours with your bookkeeper, knowing your strength and development areas. And now I've got my own consulting business and a book coming out called, the 5 Principles of Business Growth and Development and Sustainability with a sustainability focus. And the number one principle is knowing your strength and development areas. Now, spot on, because a lot of time when you start your business, it's a capacity base, right? You cannot just go and focus 100% of your energy in making a product or service. Because your business is not stop-start. You're growing. So you have capacity. And what happens is a lot of times people spend marketing, they're their own bookkeepers, their own cleaners, their own social media salesperson and everything else. But as soon as you identify that you don't have strength in certain areas, no use dragging your feet there. You're better off spending that hour or 2 hours doing something else instead of bookkeeping, which the bookkeeper can handle.
Most 100% agree with you, Bob. It's such an important factor to exactly know what you are good at. The other thing that I find when I'm working with people, so I've been doing this in my business since 2007. So we're, what are we, 14 years or something? In that time, I've created a podcast. There's 150 something episodes. I've written two books. I do a weekly blog newsletter out.
And I think I've got that book. Prav got me to read it. Girls Sell.
One book's called Good Girls Do Sell.
Good Girls Do Sell.
The Modern Businesswoman's Guide to Authentic Selling. And the other one is called Being Unstoppable.
Just
remembering when you got challenging.
Just remember those names.
So, all of these things, and I have scheduled marketing, and I have a VA that helps schedule all of the things. All of those are accumulation of 14 years so that they just seem like it's easy and it's out there and it's done. And I see people they're overwhelmed with thinking they've got to do everything. They've got to market on every space. They've got to do all of those jobs. So they don't do anything.
No.
Whereas if you recognise that what we're saying is, well, we're on page 52. You're on page 3 at the moment.
Yep.
Recognise that you've got to read or follow all those steps on those pages to get there.
It's very similar to what you said about when you're in the fitness industry, getting people to put the shoes on.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
once you put the shoes on, then they're fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They need to get out.
Yeah.
So it's just taking that first step into whatever.
Yeah.
And try not to win a marathon.
Correct. Yeah. I spoke to someone yesterday that does these ultimate challenges. I didn't even know they exist. They run 10 kilometres and then they do 100 burpees up a thing, then they run another 5Ks, and then they do 100 throw ball things or what. It's crazy, this competition. It's just the most extreme I think I've ever come across. It's CrossFit on mega steroids. But for her, she just goes and does it because she trains every single day and she's been training for years and she can go do it. But can you imagine now, goodness me.
Well, we've got to start somewhere. So that's an interesting journey from you walking down Queen Street Mall, looking for a job at Katie's, right?
It was Katie's, yeah.
And then getting a sales job into first aid. The next thing you know is you own Bowen Basin in the mining industry with your product and services, to starting your business and transitioning it. So another nugget that I'm going to throw it out, and I am big on risk management and transitioning as opposed to a stop-start. And I think you've nailed it as well. If you have got a certain product, service, or a job and you want to transition, do not do a stop-start, because it takes a lot of energy to get the ball or the car running from a stop position than if you get the momentum going. And I think transition is the key there when you transition from your job to your business, okay? Or it could be a product to a service, or when you're starting another line, you actually transition slowly because you can assess it, right?
Absolutely. It's been a bit tough for people over the last few years. A lot of people lost their jobs in 2020 and then had to find something else to do. And I've been working with quite a few people who've moved into their own business in that 21, 22 because it became a catalyst for them. They said, right, I can't do this job anymore, so I will do this instead. And it does take longer and it takes a more commitment. And I find with some of those have to move back into a job for a while to fund it.
So how does, obviously you owning the business, evolves around your time and your family. And where does your family sit in you as a woman, a mother, wife, grandmother, running a business and not running a small business? You got a very successful business and a award-winning business because you won a Business Excellence Award for your category.
I did, for the Logan Chamber. It was business to business, small business to business.
So that's amazing. Congratulations on that.
That was surprised, but chuffed.
That's good. So the family aspect, and how does that?
Fortunately, my children are grown up, and as I mentioned when I was talking about the different jobs and different things that I created positions that worked around my family.
Yeah. So working around.
That was really important, that I was available. I coached my youngest son's soccer team from age 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And I coached netball for about 10 years and played netball. But then when I had sons, I had to learn something else. So I was a fitness trainer, and I had those skills, and I went and did a soccer coaching course.
So you could do this.
I could coach the soccer team as well. But that all had fitted in well with what we were doing. Now that they're grown, they're adults, they've got their own lives. The grandchildren are the important factors now. And whenever this goes to air, but I had dinner with my 20-year-old grandson last night and my near 40-year-old son and husband. My husband and I both enjoy, we've got this lifestyle business now though too, so we enjoy travelling in our van, being away long weekends, And we've always done that throughout, because that's one thing I tell my clients to do is every year in your calendar, put your holidays in, mark your long weekends, forget everything else, put them into your calendar. They're locked in.
Yeah.
Because if you go, oh, well, I'm trying to do that couple of weeks, or you won't do it. Everything else on the calendar, it's a total blank for the year. Put them in and do it. So that's part of it. And as I said earlier, my husband goes, is she here? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then you come together with the important social stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. I love following you on socials because and I love the idea of locking it in, and I've been doing it the last few years, locking those holidays in. And I tell Prav is my wife, I lock those in, and I say, Prav, I'm going on holidays. I'd love to have you to come along. So this is a great opportunity for you to plan your court or everything else around those dates. And she's managed to come with me on every holiday, including the one coming up here shortly. So no, thanks. The reason I asked that question, because a lot of times people, there's two sides of the community. One that get really excited and gung-ho and put their 120% in business, and the other people who actually try and get the business up and going, and they struggle to balance their time, money, and everything else around that. It's good to see. In your case, you actually have your lifestyle business where you're able to continue on with your holidays, your family time, and at the same time have a very successful award-winning business recognized by the council and a lot of businesses, and I often see you out and about within the community as well. A couple of things as far as the business aspect is concerned. What are your product and services that you provide to your clients or potential people who are looking at starting a business or are already in business or in employment? What could they take away from you?
Okay, I'm going to jump back to one little thing. People often told to write their goals down. They write the SMART goals. I get people to write CREATE. So that's the acronym, CREATE. And the E is for ecological. So is it good for you? It's one thing to say you'll have this $1 million business, but is it good for you? Is it good for your family? Is it good for the environment to do that? And that's how you get that balance in that as well. So the products and services, what I do is it's sort of it is under the umbrella of helping people stand out in their own personal brand. Meaning that if you're in your business, you need to be really good at selling your ideas and selling your concepts by knowing how to pitch well and by knowing how to tell your story well. And that's something I do is I help people. We talk for a while and I pull their story out and have it something that they're not aware of. We talked about what you did from childhood. You're not aware of those skills that you've learned and how they're recognised now. And then how do you deliver that from stage? Teaching the techniques to be able to deliver it, how to put your presentation together. And the sales component of it, I work a lot with businesses that are the founder and a few other, the sales team, or the team have to be the sales team, whether they're lawyers or whoever they are, everyone's on the sales team. And everyone's got KPIs for achieving certain results, is to go into those businesses and talk about how to be comfortable in having a conversation, because you're not trying to sell anything, you're trying to solve a problem. And if you really get that so ingrained that you'll never fear cold calling, you'll never fear following up, and being able to really clearly and concisely describe how you help people and be able to do that well. So there's the speaking part of it, there's the sales part of it, there's the goal setting, creating the vision. If you don't have your vision or mission, my everything that gets me up every day is my vision is to enable people to do what they don't believe is possible. That's amazing. That's what gets me up every single day. So I help people create that as well, tie it all together, the shifting visions part of it right from the beginning, how we change our beliefs, and it's all under that personal brand authority.
That's probably one of the best visions I've heard. It's not about you, it's about creating other people.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
I do that. People are changed. I've had a couple of incidents recently where people have come up to me. One was in Argaminda, which is far western Queensland.
Beautiful place.
It is.
Buller Bill used to come from there. I still have furnitures from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. This woman came up to me and we're talking about something, and a Gmail came up and it was We Are Women, and she said, "Oh, I listened to that podcast."
Yeah,
and
in Argaminda. Yeah.
Argaminda. I said, "It's my podcast." She said, "I'm having a fangirl."
Yeah, crazy.
But it was, and she said, "It's changed my life. I would not have had the confidence to move out of a situation that I needed to move out of to come to this town, which I absolutely love."
Yeah.
And then someone at this expo we went recently, she drove from way over the other side of town to come and meet because she said just listening to the podcast had changed. You don't know what the ripples. You do what you do, but you don't know the ripples out there and how it affects people.
That's amazing. So if you are looking at starting a business, or you're already in a business, or you may be working for someone and you go, you know what, Janeen, that was amazing interview. Get to know a little bit more about where you've started to where you are now. If you want to get, a little bit more about what she's got, obviously this is just touching the top of what the product and services you have. Check out Janeen's website, Janeen Vosper.
It is, and you'll have the correct spelling in the notes, won't you?
That's right. So we will have the links also for you guys to go and connect as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. Obviously, we could sit here and talk over lunch as well.
Absolutely.
But we need to wrap it up. One of my final things, the question to you is, what fuels you up? What actually gets you the energy and gets you going every day when you wake up for your clients, for your family, for yourself? What is your fuel? You're always smiling. You always got that energy.
Yeah, the list to do, that goal, that just achievement. It's that, because your sense of achievement isn't for someone else. Your sense of achievement is for you. It's part of what I said with, what my vision is to enable other people to do things. That's for me. I'm very competitive, Bob.
Yes. Oh no, there's nothing wrong with being.
I know. So with that part of it is, this is my list of things to do today. I'm always fulfilling time and having a purpose. Hence why I do like time away, because it's the opposite of it. But that's the thing. It's when I see results, people getting results.
That's your fuel. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
very good. Well, I think that's a good way of balancing, because a lot of people can actually get themselves drained out. Okay, whether it's work or for your clients, they get really drained out without fueling themselves up. And that's where I was trying to get at is, what fuels you up. And it's a good balance to have as well, because we do not want to run dry or run empty, because we will come stuck around the corner somewhere. So as much as we love business and we love people and we love to, share our knowledge, skill, product, services to other people, it's also important that we fuel ourselves up with what we need to be able to do those things. And family is number one in that space as well. So
grandchildren,
okay, the whole family world.
And
like I said, you travel around a lot in your camper van, and it's lovely to see you. And to me, I think that's fueling me as well when I watch you do that. Anyway, thanks for your love, for your time and lovely discussion, Janeen. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all our audiences who've been watching. I know there's a lot of people who commented and mentioned about waiting for this. So this was it. So obviously it's about 20-30 minutes of this time, but I would encourage you to go and check out Janeen's website. And also, if you want to be part of this discussion roundtable with Bob, talking with the experts or the community influencer, make a comment down, get in touch with us, and we'll have you on board. Even if you're looking at starting a business as well, because to me, that'll be great discussion to have as well as part of our podcast. Thank you. Thanks for your time. And like and share our Facebook page, and also share this information with anyone who you think may need Janeen's services.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.